विद्या विनय संपन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनि चैव स्वपाके च पंडिताः समदर्शिनः.
Chapter 5, Shloka 18. Sages see with an equal eye the cultured and the learned Brahmin, the cow, the elephant, the dog, and the outcast. This, the right discernment and the right seeing, is one of the most fundamental precondition of being open to truth which is beyond our perceptions that are often colored. We judge people according to the title, position, degree, education, very many outer characteristics that human beings possess. And we're so enamored by the looks of it, not just the physical looks of it, but also the perceptive image of each being and each human being that we interact with, that we consider that image to be the reality. And so we can't really see somebody who does not look like a sage at all, maybe actually a great sage in one's inner voice, and another person who may be called as a saint may actually represent a rather crude and crass consciousness. I'll give you a few examples. There is this story that my teacher of Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, he once narrated that there is a street. On one end of the street is an ashram where several saints and sages live and meditate. And on the other hand of the street is a place where prostitutes live. As one would imagine, the sages are growing towards the divine and the soul's salvation, and prostitutes farther from it. But there happened in one case that after passing away, the prostitute found oneself in heaven and the sage found oneself not being able to access heaven. Now the sage is bewildered. All my life, I meditated on God, and what is this at the end of my life? I don't get to meet God, and this prostitute who spent her entire lifetime selling her body, her mass for money, that she got access to God. And God said, the Creator said, that while outwardly you were dedicating and consecrating your life to the divine, she was inwardly consecrating her life to the divine. She may be doing an act outwardly because of her material outer compulsions, but inwardly she always and forever remembered the divine. She always and forever remembered God. And it is thus she found her way to God. And whereas he, on the other hand, in his meditations, he had not overcome his limitations of lower nature. So several times he was meditating on even sexual activity in the mind. So it doesn't matter the number of hours you spend in meditation. What matters is the number of hours you spend in true meditation, which can happen even dynamically while being engaged in the world. But we see usually with our outer colored eyes, and we judge people, which is why ordinary people do not really know who is a sage, who is not a sage. Another example. Once I remember I'd asked one of the spiritual mentors that, where is the woman in all of this? Whenever we would have stories of the spiritual past of India, I would really miss the presence of women in those stories. And I don't really know how to articulate it. It wasn't also just about a superficial presence of women. I was really missing, in a certain sense, the femininity, the divine feminine, the Shakti aspect of things. But at that time, I didn't really know how to articulate it in words. And right now, also, as I articulate it, I feel it's a bit of a fractured way of sort of articulating what I'm trying to sort of articulate. So I asked this to my mentor, and he didn't really have an answer. Or rather, the answer was very, very superficial. It was to say, we had Rishikas, and we had so-and-so Rishika, or so-and-so. But that wasn't really the question. The question was a little bit deeper. And of course, when I came to Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, when I truly understood what is a woman, what is Shakti, what is the divine feminine, that I understood what is it that was missing in the traditional spirituality. That over time, in the last stages of the Indian spiritual history, all the importance had gone to finding the Purusha within, finding the soul within, and the aspect of the creative power at work, the divine Shakti, the manifestation, the divine will, the divine force, importance of this very creation was given a, moksha, enlightenment, liberation. This is really considered as the aim and purpose of life, and Prakriti was just considered Moha and Maya, an illusion to be foregone. But the woman is not just Prakriti, Moha and Maya to be foregone. She is the power, the very power of the divine that is creating and manifesting this beautiful world in the image of the divine. And each one of us have both Purusha and Prakriti within, Ishvara and Shakti within. So it's not a woman as in a physical body. Anyway, I've taken a little bit of a detour. Let me come to the point. The point of how the sage has the right sense of discernment, and how the sage doesn't judge on the basis of appearances. Because as normal human beings, we judge on the basis of appearances. This looks like a CEO. This looks like a spiritual person. And even right now, if I ask you to imagine a spiritual person, it'll really be a man meditating on the top of the mountain with a beard, wearing white or wearing saffron, or probably nothing. But you wouldn't really imagine a woman at work, a woman leading a particular company, or a maid in the house as particularly a spiritual person. So coming back to my original question that I'd asked my mentor, where is the woman in all of this? Where is the woman in the Indian spiritual history? I found answers to this question at multiple levels. But one of the answers that I found was in the works of the mother, where the mother says that it's not like there haven't been very many women spiritual leaders. But by nature, women are have much more affinity towards action and creation, whereas men have towards knowledge. So knowledge is what is sort of passed on and is remembered, and it gets to be a part of the history. But women were always so much busy doing it and living spirituality that they never really kind of got documented in that sense. And that's an answer that, amongst the many, many answers that I've received to this question, that made sense to me. So the reason I bring in this particular story of this, is because even today we judge, how does a spiritual person look like? Now, especially on the path of integral yoga, where we're not meant to be, when we find the path, we're not meant to renunciate, where we're not meant to be a guru, where we're meant to be ordinary people. How will you know which is an evolved consciousness, which is not an evolved consciousness? You can't just know it by the looks of it, no? You have to dig a little bit deeper. And for you to know, you have to spiritually grow. Because only a person who's spiritually grown can see things at the level of consciousness, not at the level of the appearance of consciousness. Sages, a true sage, really is able to see you for your own true value. That's one of the most beautiful things also in my journey, touchwood, that I really found. In some of the mentors and some of the people that I really found in Aurobindo, they did not give a damn that, whether this girl has a degree from Oxford or who she is, or, they just saw me for who I am. And a true sage, a true spiritual seeker, a true spiritual person bows down to the truth in the other person, no matter what the appearance is. Another story I'm reminded of, usually, and very correctly so, we imagine human beings are more evolved than, let's say, dogs. But Mother has spoken about how actually some dogs are psychically, inwardly, at the level of the soul, way more evolved than human beings. Now, can I put my ego to the side and bow down in front of a dog? So I have this, from whoever I learn, can I bow down to that person, even if that person is younger to me? When I see the divine manifesting through somebody younger to me, somebody so-called lesser to me in the hierarchy of the society, if I see the divine in that person, can I bow down? That is the true sage. The true sage sees the reality for what it is, sees the reality of consciousness, and does not get colored by the outer perceptions of the outer eye. So with that, we come to a conclusion of this video. Look forward to hearing from you. What touched you, moved you in this video? With that, I will see you in the next one. I hope you found the video to be useful. If you would like to continue your journey with us, if you would like to help us support you in your journey, click on the link below and join us for a 2.5-hour signature masterclass called the Awakening Karma Yogi Workshop, where we run you through the fundamental stages of awakening to become a Karma Yogi, to be peaceful inside and successful outside. We talk about Swabhava, our true nature, and Swadharma, our soul's purpose, which are the building blocks of a life affirming, not a life negating spirituality. So if you found this video to be useful, click on the link below and I shall see you at the workshop.